Hashtag Verse TV, week 161. All right. And our last topic is coming from, drumroll please, at Erican Productions, who we have right here with us. And
Justice, please, let's just talk about this.
Get up now and pass me my belt in the class. You see, you don't know how to listen, and I'm tired of making myself clear.
Justice, please, you broke my arm the last time.
That's not my problem. Huh? Why do you like making me mad?
I'm sorry, I should have told you about the fun.
Hey! Cardio, right? Open the fucking door with your belt. Hurry the fuck up!
I'm sorry.
Shut up! Nobody here but us, eh?
oh my gosh, I'm speechless because
I'm like,
that just speechless. Anyway, that was a scene from our friends at Erican Productions' latest hit show, Secrets, episode 1. And I will do my normal. Okay, so I will go first. Oh my gosh. This. I will say it was it's a very hard scene to watch, very much. You all did an amazing job, and I want also it was great acting and just all of that. And also I wanted to thank you all personally for having opening such dialogue around such situations with your show. Now, I know that one of your shows on your production company, I have personally experienced very light physical abuse. And when I had that experience, my single friends were like, agreed with me that, oh, yeah, that constitutes a breakup. You need to leave him. And I sometimes do question, I'm like, well, that was advice from my single friend. So I wonder, is that something that I should have stayed and worked through? But, and there are a number of people who told me that I was wrong. But I say that you should never, ever, ever escalate a verbal confrontation to a physical confrontation. And I strongly believe in that. And I remember speaking with my heterosexual best friend a few years ago, back when I was living in Baltimore. And he said, and he is a native Baltimore dude, and he was like, yeah, sometimes Baltimore dudes are like that because the guy put his hand around my neck to try to get me to stop, like gently put his hand around my neck. But he's like, yeah, Baltimore dudes can be like that sometimes. And that reminds me of here, since I've been in Cleveland, I remember one time hearing a man banging on this woman's door, and he was like, open up this door so I can come in, beat your ass, get my stuff, and get out. And I remember I was like, oh, please don't open that door, honey. And I also heard gay dudes get into a similar situation up here. And it was like, wow. And I spoke with one of my friends, Jerry, from the Everything and Then Some podcast in our Cleveland chat group. And he was like, yeah, it's something in the water up here. Now, I think that ultimately it comes down to an excuse sometimes escalates. And also, in thinking about my being like, well, maybe I should have given him a second chance, things escalate. And okay, that's my time. I'll take my 1 minute follow up afterwards. And next, whoever wants to go next, or I'll call somebody.
Okay, I'll go.
Okay,
Wow,
Leonard.
that yes, that scene took about, like you said, 10 hours to do, and we actually wrote that scene on an airplane.
Yeah.
We was on an airplane when we wrote that scene, but it was very, very intense. And the origin of it comes from one of our friends that actually was abused like that, and she wanted her story to be told. So she wanted everybody to see it. And I told Larry, I said, this is something that let's just go and put it out there. Let's just write it, and that's where it actually comes from. But it's very sad, just to see somebody go through something like that. But all as we take our hats off to the actors because they did an amazing job. They
Yes, they
did
did.
an amazing job,
Yeah.
and it was just like once you seen her get dragged like that, when the cameras went off, like cut, she just got okay. What we
Yeah,
doing
she,
next? Like
yeah.
like it was nothing. So she brought all of the emotion into that one scene, and we also had our friend on set who actually went through that situation, and she actually talked to her about it, and then they collaborated to give it more of a depth.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
It was a tough
Okay.
scene.
You want to go next?
I'm sorry.
Go
Yeah.
ahead, lady.
It was a tough scene to watch. Like even watching it, I still be like, oh, because I know the stuff behind it, and then the actors, they were so good at it. And what's crazy is the two actors, they're nothing like that. Like the way they just can turn it on and off is crazy. But like I think a lot of people, men and women, go through that. And if you continue to watch the show, you'll see where she confesses to her friend that he beats her, you know, and he's been doing this for a long time and she's been keeping it a secret and stuff like that. And you heard her say, just as you promised you wouldn't, you said you wouldn't do this again because you broke my arm the last time. Okay, so this ain't the first time that this has happened. This has happened multiple times. And then you have to think about, okay, why didn't you leave? Like on the outside looking in, it's easy to say, oh, just leave. But it's hard for people, men and women, when your heart is involved. Because lots of times in those relationships, people are thinking with their heart and not their head.
Mhm.
And fear also plays a big part of that as well. You know, sometimes the fear that that person puts in to that victim, that's what really holds them captive.
Yeah.
So a lot goes into that, but we just think and thought that stuff like that it needs to be seen, and it needs to be seen like in a raw, no hold bars way. So when we did it, it was like,
We had got some
ooh,
response in the DM that some people have,
yeah,
they went through that and they was just like, watching that gave what she was saying gave her the
it gave
strength
her strength,
to leave her husband.
and it was
You know,
stuff like that. It's
so
just like wow, like
yeah.
because you create stuff and you don't know that
Hmm.
it's gonna like make enough affect somebody or something, but to get stuff like that is just it's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's also a blessing to know that people can actually relate to the stuff that we're putting out there
Yeah.
too. So yeah,
Absolutely. And next we'll go to ChrisSEE Marie.
Well, it's definitely something that I can relate to in my childhood and in past relationships because I watched my mother go through that and at a very young age vowed that it would never be me. And when I found myself in that situation, even just this year, January, I was assaulted. And the person I was with, hit me so hard, he gave me a concussion and broke my nose. And it's still broken. It's still broken. I know it looks all right right now, but I'm affected by it today. And did I keep him around after that? Absolutely not. Because if I had to choose me over loving someone or someone else, I'm gonna choose me first. Um, and it's definitely something that kudos to your cast for such an amazing performance and the realistic portrayal because it's very real domestic abuse, very very real, and uh, good for her for finding the strength to save herself because that's just what it comes down to. You have to save yourself, from situations like that because there's people out here that will love you and not want to hurt you that way. And that's my answer.
Absolutely, ChrisSEE Marie. And Kevin?
Um, yeah, now I'm really going off the top of my head here. That song, not songs, scenes like that, really stand out to me just because, like, I never went through it personally, but I did, like, back in '08, I lost a somewhat decent friend because her boyfriend was abusing her. And he eventually shot her in front of their infant child and she died. So, yeah, I have a major issue with physical abuse. Now, I personally have never been abused, but I had an ex and he threatened it once, and that's all I needed. That was the end of that relationship because I don't play around like that. And that's my opinion.